So we're Basic As now. Basic As podcast.
Yep. You didn't like John's place, so we've changed it up. It's basic as.
Well, it's more on brand.
Yeah, your brand, and that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that. I just
So-
wanted you to be happy, so that's why I suggested the name I did. But
Well,
this
I'd be
is
happier if you pulled your fucking head in.
right. Frosty.
Welcome back. All right, this is episode 5 of the correctly named Basic As podcast, brought to you by Basic As Media, created by me and no one else.
Just you.
Just me.
That's it.
Maybe a little bit of help from some other people.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah,
But we've switched sunnies today
we switched sunnies.
because Pit Viper haven't come to the party just yet.
Not yet.
Hoping that they will,
Soon.
because
Soon.
we really could do with some more variation in the pairs of sunnies that we have.
Yeah. Yours are a
it'll
lot
come.
darker, these blue ones.
You reckon?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I specifically got those ones that you have because they weren't as reflective for when I was filming up close,
Mm.
so you couldn't see the reflection in the sunglasses, if
you-
that makes sense.
Yeah, have you got time to tell it again? Because that was fucking boring.
I fucking had
You
enough
got
of
me.
you.
You got.
Fucking had enough of you, eh?
Yeah, well, fuck
Um,
yourself, cunt.
It's just rude.
So what are we talking about today?
So what we wanted to do was we've had a think, we've sat back, we've had a think about what we wanted to sort of try and use. And now a big thing for yourself mainly, because it's not happened for me yet, is that you are going to be a father. Like
Yeah.
it's guaranteed.
It's guaranteed.
I'd like to be a father, and now we both had colourful colourful upbringings, would you say?
Yeah, I think definitely majority of people in our generation, you know, those people
Yeah.
1990 around that time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, would have gone through a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the benefits of you know, internet and the access to information and stuff like we've been privileged enough to have
Yes.
in growing up since we were, you know, in our 20s to now,
Mm.
is the fact that there is a lot more information and people are sharing stories and talking about things. And one of those things is a better way to do things than the way you were taught.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So don't just do what your parents did. Is that what you're trying to say?
pretty much. And that's like one of the key things that both your parents said to you and what my parents said to me,
Yes.
is that we just did what, you know, we had learned.
Yes.
And I was like, well,
And I asked my mum and I said, "Did you like that?" And she's like, "No, I did not." And I'm like, "Wow, why'd you do that for me then?"
and then they just go, well, we were doing our best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all doing our best.
And, you know, like maybe there's an element of truth to that, but,
Mm.
you know, we have the opportunity to think about things that we could do better
Absolutely.
being parents. By the way, I think you'll make a great dad.
Yeah, I hope so, because I was very reactive when I was younger, like
Yeah,
in my
me
early
too, man.
20s.
Yep.
And I feel very reserved now. And currently with, you know, babysitting nieces and nephews, I try not to react, mainly because they're not my kids, so I don't want to smack them, but bloody hell, like I do fucking, oh man. And,
Don't want to smack them.
well, I do want to smack them, but
You know what's really good for kids to learn how to, you know, regulate their emotions and stuff like that?
Mm.
Restricting their airways.
Didn't you say your grandpa did that to you one time? When
Yeah,
you
he
were,
used to hold my nose
when
when,
you were
when I'd be crying. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 He'd be like, stop that. And I'd be like, and then, yeah, he'd hold my nose. So I'd
So
stop.
look forward to that, Billy.
Wild Bill.
2 days old and you fucking none of that, Bill. None of that crying
No, I
shit.
won't be doing that to the young fella. But it's crazy to think that it could be 3 weeks away. You know what I mean?
Could be.
And,
We've got bets on, even though we're anti-betting. We're betting on when the baby will come.
Oh, it's just in fun in jest.
Yes,
you know,
yeah,
we're not
yeah.
doing it with a betting agency.
Not
Although
yet.
the odds are
Not-
they will be up. They just hear.
Brought to you by.
Yes, suck big dicks. How many dicks can you fit in your mouth? $1 odds.
Yeah, so I saw their bank account.
You saw it.
Yeah, because someone had to go put some money in their bank account. They aren't
What do you
sure-
mean?
Well, they bank with one of the banks,
Oh, okay.
And
Yep.
so a customer had to come and put money in their bank account. I shouldn't be saying this, but I saw it and I was like, hoo,
What are we talking?
millions, tens of millions.
Yeah, of course.
And that was
They're,
just
they're,
one
they're
account.
one of the big ones,
Yeah.
the big boys.
Yeah.
you
But
know.
that's all I'll say about that.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, I'm not supposed to. That's why.
All right, so we should get back on track about childhood trauma, I reckon.
Yeah. So why don't you tell a story from your childhood
Yep.
and we'll talk about it, you know, how we might do it differently.
Fuck, man, there's so many.
We'll just pick your best one because I already know my best one.
This isn't my best one. It's just the one that comes to mind. Okay, it was this, school sports carnival. Fuck,
How old
100 meter race.
How old are you set the
Oh, I was
scene?
probably like 8, so in year 3 or something like
Yeah,
that, I think. Mum had come to watch, and basically we were doing the 100 meter race, and I was like, want to run fast so that Mum's proud of me, and I fucking tripped over, and I
good.
was obviously upset as a child because you've tripped over. Not only did it hurt, I remember, like elbows, knees, and shit like
Ooh,
that,
Yeah.
but also just being embarrassed about it, and then Mum was visibly embarrassed about the fact that I'd done it
Yeah.
and offered no, like,
Reassurance.
you'll be right, big boy.
Yeah.
It's all right, these things happen. It was more just like a disappointment that her son can't run in a straight line, which I understand, but I wasn't a very good runner. Still to this day.
I was about to say, still to this day, not a very good runner.
Oh, well, yeah, right. Fuck off, cunt.
We're going to race after this. No, it's raining. We can't race. We don't have the right shoes on. I hurt my leg. I can't. My back.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
The excuses just cascading down as
The
to
only
why
thing
I
I
can't
run,
race you.
the only thing I run is my mouth these days.
Yeah, you would beat me in a running race, though.
I think it's just because I'm taller than you. Not by much, but
I think, biomechanically, you're much better. I'm built like a fucking mountain troll. And
But you're a better swimmer, so if it was a triathlon, it'd come down to the bike.
yeah, and I think you'd beat me at the bike too. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's just being honest in my
That's honest.
appraisal
That's honest.
myself, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Mm.
But yeah, that was a thing.
So
that was a memory of mine that I was like,
just to
oh,
paint it again,
fuck.
you tripped over. Did you like look up to her and she was just kind of like shaking her head, sort of thing, or?
Yeah, I did shoot a glance over to where I thought Mum was, and I saw her, and she was just like, "Oh, you fucking liability."
Did anyone?
She wasn't.
Did any of the like teachers or other family members be like, "Oh, Josh,
Well, it was just Mum there, so like we got to the end, and I can't remember who it was. It was one of the teachers. She's like, "Oh, you're right, Josh," and I was fucking, holding back tears at that point.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
fair.
Mum was sort of just like, "Fucking, let's go. We're going home." And I was like, "All right, well, I'll definitely try and fucking do better next time."
Yeah. There's always next year, I guess. There's always next year.
In the school carnival,
Yeah.
the
Cross
sports
country,
days.
there's always something. There's
Yeah.
always something.
But yeah, man.
Okay. Well, I guess what would you have wanted to happen then?
Oh, just a bit more, it's all right, mate. Like, these things happen, and sometimes we make a dick of ourselves, and you carry on and go forward. But it was like it got to a point where I didn't want Mum or Dad to come and watch me play football because you were
Yeah,
damned
fair
if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Fair enough.
Because I'd put in an effort, and then because I was quite a physical player in football, Mum and Dad hated it. Well, Dad didn't really give a fuck. He was more just there to keep up appearances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Mum didn't like that other parents were saying, "Oh, Josh hit that bloke pretty fucking hard." Made him fucking.
And you really wanted it to be like, yeah, he fucking folded that cunt in
Well,
half.
I fucking did, mate.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's a shame. It's a shame because you did. You put your whole weight into it.
Man, I caused some horrific injuries to I look back and I'm not proud of what I did. But yeah, there were a few that make me feel a little bit sick in the stomach, thinking about it.
But
now.
it was, that was what you were into at the time, and that's sort of.
But it was
how
also
you
the
played.
pent up anger
Yeah.
of the frustration and the anger, and I didn't know as a kid. It's but it's like those mixed messages. It's like, well, what do you want me to fucking do? I run a fucking trip over in a 100 meter race. You're disappointed in me, but if I fucking snap some cunt's collarbone, you're even
Yeah.
more mad. No, where's the
Yeah.
middle ground here?
Yeah, that's
And
a
I
tricky
know
one.
where
That's
it is. It's just don't be a cunt. But
that's a hard one to navigate. That
that's very
specific.
difficult to navigate, John.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that if I saw young Bill and he was
Yep.
first thing I would do is I'd make sure I'd just say, look, mate, are you all right?
Yeah.
And if
Sure.
he wants to have a cry, let him have a cry.
Mhm.
There's no shame in that, you
Mm.
know.
So you console him.
Fucking oath, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tell
That's
him
what
that
I
it's
plan
okay.
to do.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I don't really care like about the excess noise
Mm.
or what I mean by like people around, whatever.
Mm.
It's like, mate, there'd be going to be times when you're going to fall over
Mm.
and you just pick yourself up.
Mm.
Know that mum and dad will be here and
Mm.
Uncle John and Auntie Tegan. Fucking.
I don't really want to be associated with losers. If he trips over, fuck, he's out of the family. I'm not raising losers. No, I think the big thing would be to, yeah, you know, as a joke, Hannah as a joke, or was it? So I think the first thing is definitely to check that, see if they're all right, because from what I've seen, sometimes kids, when I was a kid as well, they want that reaction, right? So it's how hard do you check to see if they're all right, sort of thing, you know, without mollycoddling them.
Well, I think you just got to let them go. Okay, so this isn't the exact same instance, but like I practice a lot with my nephews, especially young George, who's my sister's boy. And so George likes to have things his way, like a lot of kids.
Yeah, of course.
And so he'll go, I want to go and kick the ball. And I'm like, all right, well, we got to work on a few things, you know, just so it's not just you booting the shit out of it. You know, even though you get an excitement and fun out of kicking the absolute fuck out of it, it's, you know, you got to do some other things. So I was like, if I roll the ball to you, you got to stop it with your foot. And he had a meltdown.
Really?
Yeah. Just because it wasn't going the way that he had planned it.
Yes.
You know, someone had taken absolute massive dump in his fucking
Cereal.
porridge and he wasn't enjoying it.
That was
So
you.
it was me.
It was you.
And so he was like, he had to express his emotions and he was visibly upset. And, you know, he was crying. So I just, like, he wanted to go away. So I sort of just, like, followed at a distance. And then he stopped. And then he, like, looked to me for reassurance. And I was like, it's all right to cry. It's all right if you feel that way. Like, and then he calmed down, like, because I'd given him a hug and stuff. And I was like...
How old is he? Just to set
George
the scene?
is 3.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so he's at that... It's a still very early learning and stuff like that. And by no means am I a fucking pediatrician or a childhood developmental pediatrician. Like,
Well, we know
I'm
that,
just,
definitely.
just going off sort of
No
what I fucking feel.
PhDs.
Yeah, there's no PhDs
No
here.
MDs, nothing.
Didn't go to uni. This is School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
This is Josh's School of Hard Knocks.
The old School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Fell over at a 100-metre race, still hasn't lived it down. 20-something years
and
ago.
I fucking won't, John. All right? With fucking comments like that. All right? Fuck's sake.
No, you should, because that's going to make you stronger. You can tell how I was raised.
You're an asshole, cunt.
You can tell how I was
Yeah,
raised.
yeah, fucking oath, man.
Fucking James. Fucking pick yourself up, you piece of
Yeah,
shit.
don't ever fucking do that again in public.
Oh, man.
Or you're sleeping with the fucking dogs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, so Giorgio, he's like, I'm like, do you want to go inside? And he's like, no, I want to kick the ball. And I was like, well, sometimes in order to do the things that you want to do, you have to do some other things to get that enjoyment out of it as well. You know what I mean? And he's like, all right, let's give it a crack. So then I'd like, you know, encourage him to do, you know, stop the ball with your foot and then pass it on. But then I'd like, as soon as he'd done 2 good ones, 3 good ones, I was like, fuck it, let's just boot the shit out of it again. You know what I mean? Like, have a red hot crack, Georgie. See how many fucking of your mum's garden gnomes you can break. Because when you're on Uncle Josh's watch, everything is, you know, it's fair game.
Yeah, nice.
You know, but I wanted to teach him, like, you can't always have it your way. This is how you cooperate with people. Like, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do in order to do the things that you do. But, like, not being like, stop crying, that's not...
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
because he just wanted to express himself.
Yeah.
And, like, all I wanted to do when I fucking sputtered in at the 70-metre mark of the 100-metre fucking race and watching, like, literally reverse Stephen Bradbury. Like, not that I was fucking winning anyway.
Yeah.
But, like, just watching everybody else in their little fucking red green and yellow shirts because I was Eton. I was blue.
Blue, yeah.
Yeah.
I was the Chinkford Cheetahs. We were red.
Chimpford.
Chinkford. It was
Chinkford.
it was a street name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
Chinkford.
Chinkford.
And we were the cheetahs, like the animal, but everyone said we were cheetahs because it's
Yeah, yeah. It's a clever play on words
Yeah.
by juvenile people.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We used to say leech, pee on the beach.
Yeah, that's good.
Eton, never get beaten, but we always would.
Well, with players like you, yeah.
People would call joiner vagina.
Yeah, that's just a straight up easy. That's a
Yeah, and then cash, live in the trash.
yeah, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So there you go. Albany Creek State School. What an institution of fine education.
I've got one, a poster boy right here. He's open to doing talks at
Never
the
let
school.
you down.
Open to doing talks at the school.
Yeah,
for,
Old Boys Association of
yeah.
Albany Creek Primary School.
did like the, what do you call it? The
Awards nights.
No,
do a
no,
speech.
no. Like,
Mate,
you know,
I once did. This is the a thing of like things that would never. This is a good memory I have of my dad. Like,
oh, that's good.
I had to prepare for it. Like in year 5 and year 6, you had to do speeches.
Mhm.
So you had to pick a topic, speak for however long. I think it was like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Mum, Dad, and I were just sitting down thinking about like what it is that we could do, and Dad suggested I do it like on Dilma Tea, like on the history of Dilma Tea.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had one of those, those Willy Wonka fucking hats that you'd get from
the show. Yeah.
the show.
Yeah, like a
And
purple one.
Yeah, the purple one. And I'd folded the brim in and I put it on and we wrapped a towel around it and I had a turban. And I did the whole thing in an Indian accent, bro. And you know what the joke was at the end of it? The whole punchline for the thing was like, so Dad had written it and he was so pleased with himself. Like, I still talk to him about it today and he still
Dilma
fucking wets
Tea.
himself laughing.
So if we could like bring
And-
it up,
yeah.
he'd be like, yeah.
And he goes, because the joke was, I'm not going to do it in the Indian accent. And it's like, when the whole family was sitting around talking about, what the name of the company should be. My grandma, she said, we should call it Bushels. And I said, no, you are a Dilma.
You are a Dilma.
Mate,
That
it
is
brought
so-
the house down.
I bet.
It brought the house down, except for like this one Indian family that were like, this is not appropriate at all.
They're like, that is not at all how it happened.
Like, come to this fucking country,
Oh God.
work fucking hard, and this is what we get.
Imagine if you did that these days.
Oh, mate, that's what I mean. Like, it would just be straight up, like, line through it. Like, pick another topic, Josh.
Yeah, yeah.
know?
So Billy's not doing any Dilma related.
Behind closed doors, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think it's fun to have a laugh. Like,
yeah,
we're not being mean and malicious. I was literally talking about tea and I had a turban on.
and it's a very clever play on words. You're
That
a
was
Dilma.
That was the entire speech was like set up for that
Yeah.
fucking punchline, man.
That's a good punchline.
Yeah.
I'm glad it like brought the house down.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
yeah, things that wouldn't fly these days, there's that
no,
too. Yeah.
no.
But it was a fucking good laugh. Dad still loves it, absolutely.
I bet.
And they
You're
even
a
recorded
Dilma.
it on VHS. I'm pretty sure it would be in like the Albany Creek Primary School archives, unless they've like gone back through and been like, "Fuck, we need to like get rid of that shit."
I feel like if you really went back through it these days, it wouldn't be just yours. There'd be other things that you'd be like,
Probably.
oh, that's problematic.
Probably, yeah,
But yeah, that's pretty interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
The year
so-
before that, I did like a Steve Irwin one as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I got out of it because we went to New Zealand, which was fortunate. So
Fair
weren't
enough.
there.
Fair
Didn't
enough.
have to go, like, because you do it in your classroom and then the teachers are like, yep, you get to go on and do it in like
Oh.
speech night. So I did that in front of a fucking entire audience of people
Yeah.
on speech night. The
But so
the
it made
Dilma
it
Tea one.
through the first round.
fuck yeah,
The
dude.
teacher was like, "Yeah, that's gold."
Yeah, they fucking loved it, mate.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, they ate it
Nice.
all. They ate it up.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
different times, much simpler times. You could argue better or worse. Nah,
Yeah, that's
who knows?
it's very subjective, I guess. You enjoyed it.
Thanks, mate.
That's
Yeah, I
the
did
most
actually.
important part.
I really did enjoy it. But so we're gonna share your childhood trauma now, and then we've
Well,
got
do you think we've covered the Billy one? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
the U. We've covered the U one.
Are we going to make this a thing where it's like therapy couch and then like I've got 5 minutes to summarize it or you've got 5 minutes to summarize it? Because you could do a whole episode on this shit.
I feel like it's a segment. It's a segment.
Yeah, so, okay, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because if you
15
got
minutes.
45 minutes,
Yep.
then we're planning during the middle. Yeah, okay. Never mind. But, okay. So how long have we got on here? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So, so we feel like we've covered your situation. What you would do is, and I feel like I'd be very similar as well. And you'd,
You know,
you'd
and
say that it's okay.
Yeah, it's one thing to go, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, but it's very easy to like relapse into like old habits and old ways that you were taught.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I certainly wouldn't be, you know, embarrassed if young Bill fucking.
Well, anything, I think you'd be more concerned. You'd be like, is he okay? First, I feel like that's what you'd be like.
100%. I'd be like, that's embarrassing, lad. Like, I understand it.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe he'll just be an absolute rock star like his mum, and none of that shit will ever happen. You know.
A man can dream. I hope for everyone's sake that he takes after his mother.
Oh, fuck off, cunt. Righto, yeah. Okay.
Hey, she's a jet, all right?
She is a jet.
Yeah.
She's an absolute mother of the year candidate.
She destroyed that Euros last night.
She fucking absolutely did.
Yeah.
Greek food, her favourite.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Wow, couldn't tell last night. I don't think she stopped to breathe.
Fucking Hoover.
Looked pretty good too.
Yeah. Eat Street Markets.
Not sponsored by them, but we will accept free food.
We will, and we will accept sponsorship from Eat Street because it does align with our values.
Because it's delicious.
I'd eat there every night if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, next, what are you doing? What are we doing?
So I have a very vivid memory of when I was 4 years old.
Yep.
And so I'm dyslexic, and reading is not my strong point.
Yeah.
And I very much struggled to learn how to read and didn't understand the concept very well. Just didn't go with me.
Well, you're only 4, mate.
I was 4, yes. So I remember sitting there and we were reading a child's book, and I was in my chair at the dinner table, and my dad's like standing over me, so I'm already like a little bit defensive, and I don't get it, and he's just yelling, just like screaming at me, just like read, it's not that hard, just fucking read it. And I remember I was like all curled up, and then I just remember seeing tears on the page because Jimmy's just blown up at me. And my mum's there like, he just doesn't get it. And he's like, yeah, it's fucking easy, just do it. Just like, you know, like it should just be easy. Like, you know, I should just understand the English language like that.
Yeah, man. Like that's how, you know, it's that ripple in time thing. It's like that very well could have happened to James, you know. Like,
and I'm assuming it did
Jim.
because they say it's very hereditary dyslexia. So it's very likely that my children will have it. The advantage is that I know that they'll most likely have it. So A, I can get them tested, and then B, I can help them manage it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it wasn't until I was probably 8 or 9 that they realised and had me tested. And I remember that very well as well.
Well, I remember being a kid and like you were taught dyslexia was simply, you know, sometimes you might like muddle up words sort of thing. Like you replace the start of the letter at the start of that word with the other one. So like the old, you know, our queer old dean, you know, the guy who said the speech to the Queen and he fucked it up because he was dyslexic, you know.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was an example anyway. And like that's what you thought, okay, so you're dyslexic in that way. But it comes in a lot more forms than just reading and writing, you know what I mean? Like mathematics as well. But my brother would be dyslexic. I have a very similar story to that in specific where mum and dad were like, oh, Josh, you can teach Harry how to do his maths homework. And I was like, he's like, put him back in, he's not done. You know, like, because he just couldn't get maths.
And it's a comprehension thing. So it's just like numbers just would not make sense to him from my understanding of how mine works. Sounds is a big thing for me. I can't make sounds out. I only know through repetition now what sounds make. But if you tell me to spell something out or sound it out, I can't do the sound part. You know, with 2 letters, they make a certain sound. It doesn't make sense in my head.
Okay, like, can you give me a certain example?
Well, I thought any was spelt with an E for a very long time.
Well, that just makes sense.
Yeah. So and then things like one, like the number one, but then also the word one, like
Yeah, W-U-N.
yeah.
That's
yeah.
how you think you would spell one.
Yeah. So I think of it very literal,
Yep.
and so then yeah, it does get confusing with silent letters, and then also just multiple syllable words.
Yep.
So yeah.
Mate, and yeah, that would be difficult to navigate the world, especially as a child. And then
Yes.
like to have it, you know, used against, well, not used against you because they didn't know that you were dyslexic at the time, and but like literally, how how do you think, using a jackhammer to smash a fucking egg into a little egg-shaped hole is gonna work?
Well, James sure as shit tried.
Yeah,
He
but that was that
definitely
old school generation, man.
Yeah.
Country people.
tried. Yeah.
You know that my dad grew up in the country.
Mhm.
He didn't fucking yell at me to get my fucking spelling right or be able to read shit, but
And from my understanding of their schooling, our dad told me it was just like the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, and it was just repetiting.
writing starts
Yeah.
with a W.
I didn't make it up, mate. And I'm also
What?
dyslexic.
The 3 R's.
That's what they used to call it.
Oh, fair enough. Fuck, now I'm doubting myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Writing,
pretty sure.
W-R, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's spelled, but it's the 3 R's. They used to say it was an old school term. That's
Yeah.
what they'd focus on.
Well, they're
So it was
fucking
math, English, and English.
math, English, and English.
Yeah.
Double English.
Double English.
Yeah,
Which, the worst. I hated English.
yeah.
Because I couldn't read.
It was fucking boring too. Having
Yeah.
to read fucking Anna Green Gables and shit like that.
I remember in English in year 10, we got to watch Mean Girls as a highlight.
What?
Yeah, we had to, like, review it.
We
We just ended up watching it, like, 100 times.
yeah. Okay, so that was the movie you got to review.
Yeah.
Like I was very fortunate that mine was Shawshank Redemption, and I'd never seen it until
That's a
I'd seen-
terrible movie, though.
Fuck off, cunt.
Mean Girls is way better.
Oh, give me a. I know you don't mean that, John. You're just trying to fucking roll me up, all right? And it's working, and I'm doing my best. Okay, not to let it affect me. Okay, but how fucking dare you? All right, so following on from your story,
Yes.
like
Well,
how would you? Sorry, how would you go about it? Like you've already explained it quite well. Like you're going to test your kids to see if they've got
Yes.
dyslexia,
Yes.
and you would approach it with a much softer sort of.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And so I've listened to an audiobook about dyslexia, and they say 3D letters.
And numbers.
Well, because the number one is actually a different thing.
Yep.
So you
yep.
don't necessarily have one with the other. Maybe you have one or the other.
Yep.
I don't believe it's common to have both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with numbers. Worked at the bank, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I never mix numbers up. I'm not the best at doing math in my head because I don't practice it. I'm very much like a write it down.
Yep.
Because I remember someone pulled me up at the bank. They're like, can't do that in your head. And I'm like, well, would you rather me get it right? Because I was giving him change. And he was an older fella, and I get it that, like, they didn't have calculators back then. Like, 'cause
Go and get a new set of dentures, you old cunt. Fuck off.
I hated that being like, mate, like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to
Yeah.
get it right?
Yeah.
Because that's often what I'd say.
Because I'll fucking rip you off.
Yeah.
I'll rip you off, Reg. I don't give a fuck.
And you know what happens at the end of the day? We just write that off at the bank. They just
Yep.
say extra money.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Oh well.
Oh, well.
Have a fucking good day, mate.
Yeah.
You fucking soft food eating piece of shit. Anyway. It just shits me when people say shit like that. Like I don't do it to people. I don't
Okay.
go up to someone and be
I'll
like,
tell you what then,
"Oh,
Josh.
you can't do that in your fucking you can't do that in your head. You can't do that in your spare time." It's like mind your own business, you nosy cunt. Fuck off. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't work at the fucking bank because every cunt's got something mean to say.
Oh well.
And they'll tell you. And it's your fault because you're just a person in front of them. It's like, yeah, because I'm in charge. Me.
Yeah. I started this thing from the ground up.
Yep. Not
Yep.
over 100 years ago. Yep.
Made the vault by hand.
Yep.
Did all the fucking computing systems as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Printed all the money. Yeah.
Fuck off.
All right, we've actually got one of our viewers. They've written in and
Good friend of the show.
they're going to share some of their child. They've shared some of their childhood.
So this is from Rory. This is Rory's.
Yeah.
Sent this in. He sent us a few.
Let's go through
I'm
them.
gonna pick one. No, there's heaps.
Okay.
This one hurts me a little bit.
Are you Rory?
No, no,
Oh,
no. Listening to mum and dad verbally fight for hours on end. She would sit us in the hot car with the windows down. We could still hear them fighting inside. She would walk out for a cigarette and then walk back in and continue the fight. Longest fight from memory was 4 hours, which we were left in the car for.
hot diggity. At least they had the windows down, I guess.
You know what cars were like back when we were kids, man?
Yeah, they were hot.
Fuck.
Yeah, even with the windows down.
Yeah,
Damn. Okay, that's a fair bit to unpack there.
that's a lot, man. Like that's trauma. Like you know, it's like you said to me before. You know, everything can be so much worse, and that's so true.
Mm.
You know, but everybody goes through a different kind of hell.
Mm.
You know, that one is literally like, you know, when mum and dad would fight, they'd fight with us in the house.
Yeah.
You know, it was just how it was, and you were like, fucking hell, I'm just going to try and focus on this fucking Sega Mega Drive game as hard as I can, and then, you know.
Yeah, I don't actually remember my parents like fighting. They would often argue, but it was about like it was more their own opinions. It wasn't like you didn't, you know, wash the dishes properly or something like that, or I don't recall them fighting about that sort of stuff. If they were yelling at anyone, it was generally either me or my sister.
Yeah, right.
So it was generally very much directed. It was never at each other. It was always at us.
Yeah, okay.
So all their rage they inflicted on us. No, but yeah. So
But yeah, man, like, I'd love to know how Rory would deal with like that situation.
as when they have
Now.
a child, if they
Yeah,
have a
if
child.
Rory ever, you know, and his partner ever, you know, have kids and.
Well,
like,
hopefully they don't
you
lock
go-
them in the car. Let's go first of all. Let's hope that they don't do that.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to ask him, but like whether they were locked in the car or it's just like you're gonna go and sit in the car while this happens. You know.
Yeah.
And
But
it's like,
even still, even if they weren't locked in the car, they were just in the car. Like why put them in the car?
because I guess the parents didn't want them to have to see, you know, them fight. You know,
Yeah,
which
fair
is,
enough.
you know, it's. But the kids aren't dumb. You know, it's
Yeah.
like every time we go and sit in the car, shit, it's going to be frosty as fuck when we come back inside.
And it sounds like they could hear him anyway. The
Yeah.
windows were down.
Windows are down, fucking.
Mum would come out to have a durry.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like it was a big, you know.
Triple M Acoustic Sundays isn't fucking drowning out any of the
No.
fucking cunt calling. So.
No. I guess, have you ever had like a big brawl like that with Hannah anyway?
Nah, fuck no.
No. Tegan and I have never had a big blow up like that.
No.
And obviously, time will tell. I don't think we would do it in front of the kids.
No.
But yeah, Tegan and I are both very like, we don't like, we'll like snap at each other, like a little thing. And then, you know, that will be hard, I think, in front of children.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to obviously snap in front of your kids.
I mean, man, the thing is like, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, things like that are inevitably gonna happen. Like, frustration boils over sometimes.
Of course.
You know, but if you're gonna, like, I guess there's a time and a place, and like, I didn't walk in, you know, Rory's parents' shoes or whatever, but you know, you gotta use your logical thinking brain at some point to be like, this is going to imprint on the children.
Yeah, well,
you
I
know?
guess they're unfortunately very emotional at that point. Obviously, they're blowing up at each other. They're emotional about something, so they're not using that logical part of their brain. So,
And the anxiety that comes from it, like, you know, like I imagine that having experienced that, and it doesn't sound like it's like a one-off sort of thing, you know, it's like happened quite regularly throughout their life as a child. It would then make that person want to be a fixer, is what I call it, you know? So, like, the slightest hint that someone isn't feeling the best, or that, you know, they're like the telltale warning signs of like that person, they're a bit quiet.
yeah.
And what generally happens when someone's quiet leads to, you know, mum and dad putting us in the car and then fucking, you know.
So then, like an overcorrection almost.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I see it in my brother a lot as well, you know, like, because I would just snap at him a lot. Like, shit rolled downhill.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting in trouble for shit or frustrations getting taken out on you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, and then I would take it out on Harry.
Mm.
You know, and so now when we're hanging out, he's like, you're quiet. What's wrong? I'm like, I'm just fucking driving, dude. Like, and it pisses me off. And then he gets, you know, anxious and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it's like those lasting, it's imprinting and it's lasting a very long time. And that's true trauma as well. You know, not to say that ours isn't. It's just a different type.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all leads you down a different road.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what Rory would say about it, but
yeah. Well, I guess in regards to that, the biggest thing is probably not put the kids in the car. That's probably the first thing we don't. Well, I wouldn't do.
yeah.
Me and Tegan wouldn't do that. Probably put them in the car.
Should we call a pediatrician now?
We could. Didn't you say you
Yeah,
went to a pediatrician the other day?
Fuck off, mate.
You went to your childhood doctor?
You are a fucking idiot.
You said it.
No, I didn't. I said I went to the doctor that I've been seeing
Since
ever since I was a child. And you were like, oh, you went to your pediatrician.
It was actually
I'm
Tegan that said that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and you've just...
We're-
You realise that you got a nerve and you just keep fucking poking it.
Tegan and I are really troublesome duo. You know?
Yeah, that's true. But
We're pretty good, hey?
yeah, it was a good laugh when we had it.
Yeah.
But
Still is, I think.
yeah.
For me.
But yeah, what were we talking about?
Rory's. So what we would do maybe as parents.
Yeah, so obviously try not to air out your dirty laundry in front of your kids.
Yeah. And who's to say that my parents didn't fight after we went to bed?
Yeah, mate. Bloody oath.
And that could have very well happened. I don't know.
Yeah, you see, yeah, that's right.
And you know, then the good thing is, I never knew about it.
Yeah.
Because I can't easily recall a time. I know my dad was very angry, but he would be very angry at inanimate objects.
Yeah.
Yes, so that was the big thing I saw. But he'd sometimes yell at us when he was really frustrated. I never saw him yell at Mum. But then he would take whatever rage he had out on something like a tape measure. Or drills were his nemesis. Drills were his nemesis.
What would he do to the drill?
Well, the big thing was he used to build a lot of stuff, and he'd forever be tech screwing stuff, and he'd be trying to like stand on a ladder that he shouldn't be standing on, or the back of a ute, or something precarious where he shouldn't be. He's like, just got to get it done, and he's got like, he'd have 2 or 3 in his mouth of tech screws and then he'd be drilling one, and like it wouldn't be going through because he'd have the wrong tech screws.
Yeah.
He'd be trying to put metal in wood or wood in metal, and they don't work, and they'd slip,
Mate.
and he'd just fucking lose it.
Mate, that like, okay, so while you're talking about that, I get that, but it also came from like, you know, so if I was doing that and I was trying to do something because Dad wanted me to do it, he'd be like, oh, fucking just give it to me. Like, and then you're like, you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this isn't fucking working.
Yeah.
You know, or they'd be like, you know, I imagine Jimmy's dad be like, what's fucking wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know, and then so like, he's like, fuck, I'm going to fucking absolutely yeet this fucking...
And
this
so and that's the same as, like you say, when I was doing stuff, he'd be like, fucking come on. Like, I'm trying to...
hurry the fuck up, cunt.
He's holding something, he'd give me the drills, like, drill through, and I'm just like... like 12 years old, like, little fucking custard arms. And he's like, fucking come on. I remember so many times of that. Because we'd do stuff that, like, we shouldn't do with a child and one adult. And that's why he ended up having a bad back, is because we'd just do things, right? Like, he's just...
Yeah.
We didn't have the right equipment, but we didn't want to go back and get the equipment, like something to lift something. He'd just fucking struggle through. Fuck. And we're trying to lift stuff that he shouldn't have been lifting, because I was barely helping, because I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's that old generation, man. And it's like...
he's like, are you fucking lifting? And I'm like, I'm trying.
I'm fucking giving it everything I got.
And I didn't have
giving it everything I got, Captain.
Precisely. And I didn't have a lot, right? I was a fucking small kid.
Yeah.
And
Still don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really harsh.
Well,
it's really, now you've struck a nerve with me.
Yeah, I know.
Just brought it right back. I'm
glad
I've got Pit Vipers on, so you can't see my eyes tearing up. But yeah, it's definitely that older generation of a dad, and that comes through with me now, and Tegan notices it, where I don't like stuffing around. I think that's carried through a lot through me, where he was always like, it was a bit of a rush,
Yeah.
and I definitely am like, let's go, let's do stuff, and she's always like, just relax. What's the rush? What's the rush?
Yep.
And I'm kind of like, let's just go. I think it's a little bit of army as well, but
Yeah, there's definitely an element of that in there as well, man, for sure.
yeah.
Because I struggled with that for a long time, and now I like make a point of trying to be like, you don't need to get this done like super fucking quick.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just take your time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with kids is like, if you've got them there and you've got them there to help, you can't expect them to have the same level of, you know, skill or you know, finesse that you have.
Yeah, Dad had like 20 years on me.
Yeah, fucking oath. That's
Oh, he's got more. He had like 30 years on me. He's got 30-something years on me, and I'm like, come on, mate.
yeah. So he's really fucking putting the screws into you to make sure you get the screws in.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, fuck, dude.
But
yeah, that gives me anxiety. Like,
but yeah.
Yep.
But so yet again, we've sort of come off topic, and with the Rory situation, I guess again I think we've answered it. I feel like you would want to do it at a time that's appropriate, so the kids aren't around.
Yeah. And you probably want to even if you do slip up like that, I'd probably try and address it with the kids later, being like, you know, everybody's a human being. Sometimes, you know, you have a bad day, and sometimes both mum and dad have a bad day, and then shit like that happens. You know, doesn't mean we don't love each other. You know, it's not your fault or anything like that. You got to be apologetic. You can't afford to have pride, too much pride, I think.
Were your parents ever wrong?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I don't think my parents were ever wrong.
Never said sorry. Never wrong.
Yeah, I can't think of any times off the top of my head because it would stick out in my head. But yeah, it's definitely that's definitely a thing.
And like, I'll bring this shit up. Like, I love my dad. Mum's since gone. Like, love her too. You know, love the memory of mum. You know, it was what it was. Childhood was like, they gave me everything that I ever like needed, ever wanted. Like, but you know, those sorts of things happen, and I still talk to Dad about him today, and he's like, "That fucking didn't happen." Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, it did."
Yeah, but do you think it maybe? Oh, I guess it would be. From their perspective, it might be different. I guess because
for sure, everything's different.
They're in their shoes.
That's right. Perspective is so super important.
Yeah, and I guess they didn't think it was that big a deal because, hey, like we've said multiple times, it's probably happened to them, right? Like their parents were probably the same.
Bang on, man.
You know,
so
I'm sure
true.
Your grandparents were pretty strict as well with your parents, so then that sort of carries on.
Like the generational trauma thing is something that I really, well, I don't want to say subscribe to, but like I believe in.
Well, it's evident. It's evident, you know.
Like Pop, so Dad's dad, World War II veteran, like obviously struggled with PTSD and shit like that.
Yeah. Wouldn't talk about it.
Wouldn't talk about it, nope. You know, and took a lot of his frustration out. Like Dad's got some stories, man. Like there was a time where he tells the story. He's like, he was crying because it was like raining, and Pop just went and got him, threw him in the shed with the terriers. That's where he slept the night.
Fuck.
So.
And it makes your childhood look pretty.
I know, mate, but like it's the thing that you say. It's not. You can't compare apples with fucking oranges. You know what I mean? It's like everybody goes through a different kind of hell, and it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's annoying when people go, "Oh, well, you think that's fucking hard? You should fucking, you know."
Yeah, bloody what, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You know, I was working at a bakery by the time I was 3.5 years old, and I had fucking burns up my arms and my hands, and fucking could never get the hot cross buns right.
Yeah, obviously not a very good baker.
Yeah, you should have fucking been.
You should have learned by then, I thought.
You know, but like people comparing their shit with other people's shit, like you just insecure about the fact that, you know.
I guess, like you said, it's all it is
relative.
It's all perspective.
Relative and perspective.
Yeah.
You know, like who's going to get the trauma trophy this week? I probably reckon it would be either you or Rory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably Rory, I reckon.
Yeah, Rory gets the trauma trophy. That can be the new thing.
Oh yeah, that's a good
one.
So
I've just contradicted myself. We will compare trauma stories.
Exclusively
on this show. Yeah. Trauma trophy.
You want to win?
You want to win? Tell us your trauma.
Yeah, definitely tell us the trauma because we'll have to get like a little trophy. Imagine that. Just like, yeah. What do they get though? Like, what does that get them?
Yeah, fuck, I don't know.
Oh,
you go in the draw to fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
fucking psychiatry voucher or something.
Yeah, they probably need it.
Yeah. that'll do.
Who's the most fucked up?
Oh, hang on. What? No!
Hey!
What a time! How good.
Good timing. Good timing.
Oh, I looked down. There was 2 seconds to go. Fucking you beauty.
Bloody just stop that.
Oh, thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
All right, so that's episode 5 in the bag.
Yeah.
Another good episode. I think we definitely we'll keep this segment.
So it was a whole episode, but like we're gonna try and like make it a smaller bit.
Because I think it's very good because I know that we as
we
couple
talk about
friends,
it a lot.
you know, like our wives and us when we're all together, we definitely talk about it a lot.
Yep.
And I even said, you know, I don't reckon my parents were sitting around with their friends talking about how they were going to potentially handle certain situations with us.
Nah, probably not. Well, probably wasn't at the forefront of their mind. You know,
Yeah.
like they had bigger fish to fry at the time, and they probably didn't put as much.
And we want to be better, right? That's the
100%. Like the biggest fear in my life is being a shit father.
yeah.
That's I've always been like I just don't want. And there have been times where like when I was much younger, like in my early 20s and stuff, where I didn't really want to have children.
No,
because
yeah, I
I was
remember
like,
that.
I am going to be a shit father. You know, but I don't think that that's the case. I think that
No, I think
it's
you'll
going to
be
be a
good dad.
challenge.
Yeah, you'll be a
Thanks,
good dad.
mate, I
Because I
appreciate it.
think you're having these conversations. These aren't easy conversations to have, right?
No,
That's
not
why
at all.
people don't have them.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah,
know.
a lot of people, including some of my family, like neglect the fact that any of this stuff happened, and I don't think that that's how anything gets better.
no.
Like by ignoring things that happened. It's about talking about them and then being like, well, what the fuck would you do? And it's hard to say. You know, you can say one thing and then be in the moment and do another, but like at least we're talking about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, all right, we'll leave it there, and that's it.
See you next week.